of course, recently, Stranger Things season 5 wrapped up. And I didn't think it was the best season of Stranger Things, but I quite enjoyed it. I thought the finale was, about half of it I found boring as hell. The other half I found quite good. And I thought the ending, the button on the end was absolutely perfect. But there is a little documentary that came out about the making of Stranger Things season 5 that Netflix is now airing that everybody's going crazy about. Because I've had so many people sending me messages saying, John, did you hear that they made the final episode without a script? What? They didn't have a script. They just made it all up as they were going along.
Ooh.
And
it's like Star Wars.
It's kind of like Star Wars. So I went into it, and sure enough, in the documentary, there's a moment when, let me see if I can get this name right. There's a production assistant, Montana Maniscalco, says, you can bring this up, Jonathan. We are shooting episode 8, which isn't completely written yet. Spoiler alert. Remember, this is one of the production assistants saying, so we don't fully know what's going on. And so I've seen a lot of people like talking about how, well, that explains why I didn't like, because, some people didn't like the finale, and that's okay. And saying things like, well, that's why I didn't like the finale. Like, they didn't even know what they were doing and all that kind of stuff, right? And number one, the first thought that went through my head was, I've seen a lot of television shows, and I've actually been on set of some television shows and writers' rooms where the writer's room is still plowing away on an episode they're currently shooting. It's not that unusual. This isn't a movie. Like, it's not that unusual. But the key point is this point in the Deadline article, which says this. In One Last Adventure, The Making of Stranger Things 5, the Duffer Brothers admitted not to having a final script ready as they started filming the series finale, which again is actually not all that unusual in the television industry. That being said, this is the key part where one of the Duffer Brothers says, it's not like we don't know what the ending is. It's all plotted out, Matt Duffer says in the doc. I have to write it, and we're just low on time. So what that tells us is, because some people, Rob, I think have taken this, a lot of the writing I've seen in the last day has been, they just made it up as they went along. They just kind of threw things at, guys, in the documentary, he says, the Duffer says, we know how it ends. We have all it plotted out. We know exactly what happens. I just haven't put like the final touches on the dialogue. I just haven't got this. It wasn't done. And they were kind of completing that as they were going. But again, the reality is that is not terribly unusual in the television industry. It actually happens quite often, which is why, you'll have writers' rooms and showrunners. Like, you'll have over in one room them actually rolling cameras, and in another room, a writer's room where the writers are still frantically scripting out. So again, the big thing for me is what it comes down to is like, look, guys, no. It's not like we didn't know what was going to happen. We knew the ending. We had it all plotted out. We knew exactly what was happening. We just didn't script it out yet, and we were working that as we were going. So is it an interesting thing? Yes. Is it this mind-boggling, earth-shaking, unprecedented thing? No, which is why they put it in the documentary. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. The new year doesn't require a new you, maybe just a less burdened you. Most of us carry around things like pressure, self-doubt, or that feeling that we always have to be perfect, and learning to let some of that go can make a huge difference in our lives. Therapy can help you better understand what's weighing you down by giving you an unbiased perspective on your relationships, motivations, and emotions. That's where BetterHelp comes in. See, BetterHelp connects you with quality therapists who are fully licensed in the US and follow a strict professional code of conduct. product. They also do the matching work for you. You fill out a short questionnaire, and with over 12 years of experience and industry-leading match rates, they usually get it right the first time. And if you ever want to switch therapists, you can do that easily from their tailored recommendations. BetterHelp is also one of the world's largest online therapy platforms, plus an average 4.9 out of 5 rating from over 1.7 million live session reviews. BetterHelp makes it easy to match online with a qualified therapist. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BETTERHELP.com/Campea. Anyway, Rob, I think a lot of there's much ado about nothing here, to quote Shakespeare, to be honest with you. Because again, I've been on sets of shows where this exact same thing has been happening, and it's not that unusual. Anyway, Rob, you read this. What's your takeaway from it?
Okay, I would say you're absolutely correct that there are shows, like when you think about TV shows, procedurals, comedies, there's a lot of time when they're writing, especially when they're making 26 episodes a season. I think for this particular show, for Stranger Things itself, with the amount of money it cost, with how long they had to make it, they should never have rolled cameras until they had everything finished, all of their sets done. Because when you don't have something finished, it's not fair to your actors and it's not fair to your crew. And it doesn't allow them to do their best work. And I think on a show like Stranger Things, that is their cornerstone show. And they only made 8 episodes, right? There's only 8 episodes.
Yeah.
Or 8 or 9, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it's 8. They should have had it all done and ready to go, so the characters, the actors know where they're going to take. I think, and you can see in that 9th episode, like half of it's good, and then half of it meanders around. I mean, it's clear to me that was a last minute writing job.
But it wasn't. Like they're saying, they had all the scenes. They knew exactly what was going to happen.
But having all the scenes is not the same as, right? Like, you know what's going to happen. I've seen this. This happens all the time. People get into trouble. On an episodic show, you can get by. You know, if you're doing an episode. But on this, when you're dealing with one long narrative, by not having your climax finished, think of it. I don't think of Stranger Things as a series so much as it is. Each season is its own thing with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that you've allowed your final season, which they had so much time to write. They had so much time before they shot that season. I think I think it hurt it. And if the last episode was amazing, I would say that's good. You got away with it. Gladiator didn't have a script. They started shooting the movie Gladiator. It had 30 pages of script. That was it when they started shooting. And then they started going along, and that turned out well.
Well, that's because the director had, while they didn't have all the scripting done, he had the full outline. He knew exactly what was going to happen. It's not like they were making it up as they were going along.
No, but they still, it's each scene. I think that the final hour of Stranger Things was not well done. And I think they wanted to hit all these points, but it's not well written. And I think that they betrayed themselves. And I understand why. Writing those long scripts is tough. But I also think with an episodic show, that each show's like an episode of House. Like, I love House. I watch House all the time, especially like the compilations of a whole episode in 9 minutes. Love that. But they were episodes. They know what they know what each episode's what it's going to be. But this was the culmination of 10 years. And I'm like, I wouldn't have allowed them. If I was the line producer of that show, I'm like, we're not starting production until you finish your scripts. I thought that was a bad thing to do.
But I don't know. I think it's much ado, because if it was a thing of like,
they know where they're going, but that doesn't mean it's good.
like they know, no, agree. But that happens when you have completed scripts or not. And I'm not trying to underplay the value of having a completed script. But this is the interesting thing about it, because at another point in this documentary, you see the entire cast and the production crew doing the full read-through that included the final episode, and it ends with them going, Mike closes the door, ends series.
It's true.
So they clearly at one point had
they had a finished script.
They had a finished script. They clearly had it. They did the read-through with it.
Maybe there are reshoots or something he was referring to.
What I'm thinking this is is because if this was really a damning thing, they wouldn't have put it in the documentary.
No, of course.
I think what this mostly is, like he said, like Duffer said, we know everything. We have it all plotted out. I think they just made some decisions about, we don't like the way she says this here. We don't like the way he says this here, but all the scenes were the same. So that's why I think it's being blown out of proportion a little bit here.
Well, it's not like like you said, but I still think it's always better to have finished material. It's better for everybody. It's better for your production.
Sure. I agree. But again, like even Marvel in the first 3 phases, they infamously quite often, as they're shooting the movie, they would get different ideas and they'd bring in a couple of writers who would literally be sitting on set writing new pages.
Yeah, 100%.
As the movies. And my impression of all this is I think that's what happened here. I think they were shooting the series, and as they were getting into the final episode, they were just right, you know what? The way this has turned out, I think she needs to act a little bit different. I think this needs to be said different. And they went back because again, the confusing part is they had the full script read through.
Yeah.
And then they were probably making changes on the go, but it is what it is. And I agree. It wasn't a great series finale.
No.
I think there were moments that were glorious, like the final role-playing game thing at the end. Perfect ending. But then again, I've seen lots of really good television series have very well planned out, very scripted, and very bad finales.
Yeah.
And Stranger Things didn't nail the ending, but they got there. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comments below and leave your thoughts there. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.